Welcome to the Women in Wealth podcast, brought to you by Regina McCann Hess, a certified financial planner with over 2 decades of experience. This show is for professional women who want guidance in working towards their retirement vision in learning, building, planning, striving for your dreams, and putting the work in now so that you can pursue your financial independence. Have you ever driven by one of those self-storage areas on the highway or on the side road and you're like, I want to invest in that because everybody keeps renting them and putting their stuff in them. It's boundless energy going into these public storage places, and I want to have a piece of that. So, today we're going to learn more about those types of investments and those types of properties. Hello, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. My guest today is Corinn. And Corinn, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Yes. Thanks, Regina, for having me. I'm so thrilled to be having this conversation together today. So, I am Corinn Altomare. I am the company co-founder of Hearthfire Holdings, and we are a private equity real estate firm that primarily offers passive investments in self-storage to our ever-growing investor base. So folks that for whatever reason, might not want to be completely hands-on, either landlords or investing themselves, want to go into more syndications or private equity. We serve those folks. Our investors are completely hands-off. We do all the day-to-day. And investors collect their quarterly distributions and their investment returns at the end of the life cycle of the project. So,
That's very interesting.
And so then, the second part of the question, what I love about what we do, we are fundamentally, for me, we're serving people. And I love that. This all started as a side hustle, honestly, for myself, building up some passive income in real estate 14 years ago.
Wow.
And that has, so seeing what we were able to do by investing in real estate and then starting to share that with, at first it was a very close-knit group of family, close friends. Our first pool of investors was probably 5 to 10 people. And here we are today, 14 years later, and we have just shy of 300 investors across our platform. Today, we own 24 self-storage facilities across 10 states. And, behind all of those numbers, though, are some really incredible stories of people and families that we are able to impact through the power of our investments. There's a couple different folks that come to mind specifically. One were actually some dear friends of mine from previous career, and they started off their journey in real estate, buying their own properties, self-managing, landlording, and then they wanted to get a little bit more passive and diversify. So they were buying multifamily, small homes, small commercial, think corner barbershop with apartments above, and wanted to get into some more different asset classes. So they joined some of our storage projects. And it's been probably 10 years now that we've known one another and been able to see our families grow together. That's been a beautiful thing. Another of our investors, very experienced corporate woman, and then started investing passively, also diversifying from the stock market and probably the types of products that you offer with your clients and what you do for your community. And found us, invested with us initially herself, and then started sharing more about what we do with her children, either her older teenage and young 20-year-old kids. And so bringing them along and getting them started in real estate investing much earlier in their lives, which I love seeing because this is a
Mm-hmm.
long-term game. Most of our projects are at least 5 to 7 year commitment. hold periods. So I just said a whole lot. Let me stop there. I could go on. I could go on, but let me stop there for a
No,
minute.
I think it's fascinating though, because obviously, I'm in the stock market, right? Bonds, stocks, non-traded REITs, like we do all sorts of different things, but what you're doing is completely different. Now, I had to put the caveat there for our compliance friends. We're not recommending, that people run out the door and do all sorts of different things. We're just here to educate
Yep.
about the different options that people have because some people think, oh, well, it's only the stock market, or it's if I'm going to invest in real estate, it's only apartment buildings,
Yeah.
or, things like that. I never would have thought that, the well, not the public storage, but the storage units that I drive by were part of something along the lines of what you do. But I also think it's brilliant in the sense that you don't have to worry about, the apartment as such, like what happened in COVID, where people didn't pay the rent and you couldn't get rid of them.
Yep.
Whereas if it's a storage unit, they're not paying, they pay the fee up front. I don't know how it goes, but if they're not
Yeah.
paying the fee, you can cut the lock off and throw their stuff out, so and
Auction
have
it
somebody
off.
else come
Yep.
in. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think it's really fascinating, and I'm really glad that you have educated me. So that's why I want to educate other people about just, hey, there's other options out there. And yes, I'm all about diversification. And I love your story. Like I know that, it has evolved to the public, to the storage units. I shouldn't say public storage, but the
Yeah.
storage units per se, and that it's a family business, and how many people's lives that you have touched by doing what you do.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, fun fact. So if you see say you see an extra space self-storage,
Hmm.
that's the REIT that has the lime green or wasabi green kind of branding.
Mm.
Um, Not every extra space storage that you see is actually owned by Extra. They do third-party management. So there are plenty of private owners behind that brand, behind that label. So yes, and it's amazing to see the class of properties that you can get into when you're pooling together with 50 other investors. You can access a $25 million project that otherwise, is generally not approachable for folks like you and me, right?
Yeah.
Individually. So
Yeah.
you're able to be an owner of a higher level, higher class of asset. Where we are today at this stage in our company is Class A facilities in primarily secondary markets. So think suburbs right outside of the city. We have a project now that is 5 miles outside of downtown Boston. So not
Cool.
at Main and Main in any major MSAs, but just outside. We have another project in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, about halfway between Philly and New York. So again, very strong secondary market. And the types of these properties are either the Lehigh Valley one, for example, is brand new. We're building it from the ground up. So it's brand new. It's got all the bells and whistles of a new build nowadays. And so it's really exciting to be able to build that quality of an investment for folks that can be part of something really, really exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
That's a,
way let me just you touched on like storage versus apartments, and you also touched on diversification. So I'm reminding myself I want to talk about those three things.
yes.
Um, I I never tell investors that they should put all their money with us. It's purely about diversification. Like folks should be in, what we would expect, the stock market, all sorts of those other products, as well as in different types of real estate. Yes, yes, go into some multifamily apartments or single family. It's all about adding variety because then you're minimizing your risk, right? By spreading
Right.
spreading things out,
Right.
and not having all of your eggs in one basket. Um, storage, the way that storage functions, there's no tenants, there's no trash, and there's no, turnover repairs or keeping up with what are the latest kitchen trends and things like that. So our expense ratio is much lower in storage than it would be in apartments or single family. And that is where I started, was in small apartments in and around Philly, and then pivoted to storage and never looked back.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Um,
didn't.
yes. I was managing apartments through COVID and all the eviction moratoriums and all of that. And we had our first storage facility at that time that we were managing ourselves.
Mhm.
We actually bought a travel trailer and lived on site there and managed it. And it was night and day difference of managing the storage facility and your storage customers and that contractual relationship versus navigating landlord tenant law
Oh,
and everything there. So we went
mm-mm.
commercial and are very happy with
Yeah.
that pivot.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Like, one, I don't like people touching my stuff. Not that I have a lot of stuff, but just don't touch it. And also just the headaches that go along with that. And some people love that. Like that's where they're getting their passive income and they're building their wealth that way. And guess what? That's why Baskin Robbins makes 58 flavors because what's right for me may not be right for you. And your comfort zone's totally different than mine. It's the whole apartment dealing with all those headaches. I could never do it, but I love the idea of the storage units because it's a totally different angle.
Hmm. And
Yeah,
it's much more of a business that functions inside real estate.
right.
There's a lot of similarity to call it travel or like airline pricing or hotel pricing where it's demand driven. So the way that rate management works is if you have a brand new building that's vacant and you're leasing up, of course you're going to have all of the move-in specials and incentives, move in for $1 and get your first month free, all of that sort of stuff to get customers actually in the door. And then as your building gets more fully leased up and starts to become stabilized, that's when those move-in specials and things start burning off. You start adjusting rates closer to market. And when you have someone who's renting, call it a 10 by 10 for $100 a month, just for easy math, then and you're increasing their rent, say in month 9 or 10, you're going to increase their rent 10%. Is someone going to give up their weekend to go find something slightly cheaper down the road for $10?
Yeah, no.
Probably not. So,
Mm.
and then extrapolate that across, in our buildings, we have six, seven, 800 storage units under one roof, right? So
Yeah,
at scale, every dollar adds up, and that's what really drives the return
yeah,
for the owners and for the investors at the end of the day.
yeah. That's amazing. I love this concept. It just because it's different, right? And the other thing that is, for the stock market, people see the value every day. Market's up, market's down because the TV's hyping it. But with something along the lines of what you're doing, you're not seeing that sticker shock every, month when the statement comes in or every day on the news and things like that. And you have to be committed for that 5 to 7 years, even though when I'm talking to people, it's like, hey, if you're going to be in the stock market, you really do need this needs to be longer term money and not something you're going to use in the next few years. But when market downturns happen, people forget about that conversation.
Sure.
Yeah, right. So, but
Yeah.
with something along the lines of a 5 to 7 year commitment that it's like you said, contractual, they're not going to have those knee jerk emotional reactions, and they
Mhm.
have maybe a better chance of it coming to a better conclusion for them.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to be patient and see it as the long game that it is. And I'll
Mhm.
I'll I'll extend the timeline even further and bring in the concept of 1031 exchanges to redeploy
Mm.
through that to defer capital gains that you make upon any initial investment. So because we've been at this game now for a little while, we've had investors that started with us in, call it 2012, 2014, and have now been through multiple projects with us.
Mhm.
Thanks to the mechanism of a 1031 exchange, you can roll over your proceeds from one original real estate investment into another one, into a like kind real estate investment. You're deferring capital gains, so that goes forward into the next one and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. So that's a really wonderful way if you're playing the generational game, where we've had some investors start out with $12,000 in their initial investment, and it's six figures today, and they haven't had to pay capital gains on that because they've used that, and because they've obviously trust us and stayed along with us for the ride through multiple investments. Now, I can't guarantee that any past performance is gonna is gonna promise future results, but that is something that we've seen. Again, the power, what I was trying to say by telling that story is the power of thinking long term.
Yeah.
As long as folks are coming to this early enough in their life, or if they're setting up their children or their grandchildren for it earlier in life, the power of compounding over time is just incredible.
Oh yeah, you know I love that power of compounding. Oof.
Yes.
Talking my
Yeah.
language.
hmm
Wow. Yeah, so the 5 to 7 years or longer, I like the idea of the 1031 exchange, to defer those capital gains. That's always, the CPA is going to be happy and you're going to be happy because you're not paying those tax. Obviously, eventually Uncle Sam wants his money and you got to pay the piper at some point. But sometimes you kick the can down the road long enough and then you're like, okay, we'll deal with that at a later date.
hmm
Not a bad
Yeah.
deal. Not a
Yeah.
bad deal.
Yeah.
So if people want to learn more about what you're doing, learn more about you, where do they go to find more information?
Sure. Our website is hfireholdings.com, or I would say if folks find me on LinkedIn. Like I love connecting directly with folks. So um, I'm sure my name is here on the screen somewhere, or will be shared in the show notes or whatnot. I really love connecting individually with folks. So find me on LinkedIn and let's start a conversation from there.
There we go. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, so question for you is that wondering what has been a challenge for you as a professional female?
So something that I've been wrestling with more recently, and this might not be a direct answer, but I'm gonna share it anyway, because I'm a professional woman, and this is something that is a challenge for me. I feel as if we as human beings are so multifaceted. There's so many layers to us, and I feel, especially, not to knock the guys at all,
Hmm.
I find this more often when I'm in relationship with other women and when we're talking about this, that there are so many more different layers or aspects to who we are as a human beyond our professional careers. So the professional focus and ambition, and whether it's building our corporate career, or if you also are a business owner or entrepreneur building that, there's all of that, and then there's also the more spiritual, creative side of me. I'm going to just speak for
Mhm.
myself, of
Yeah.
me, that how that doesn't directly translate to professional work or business, but it's a huge part of who I am. So how do I allocate enough space or energy in my life to feed that part of my soul? And is it also possible to bring that into the workplace, and how to do that and light up the rest of the team or the other people that I connect with or interact with? Because money is money at the end of the day, and it's important to have a roof over our heads and food to feed our children. And also, are we living the most fulfilled life that we possibly can? And if it's not a fully confident, full-throated yes to that question, then how do we tinker with how we're spending our life and to make sure that can get to a yes to that answer. And then layer on top of that, I am a mother. I have a 9-year-old daughter. And for me, the most important thing is that she knows that she is absolutely cherished and beloved and important. And so drawing the line and the boundaries of when work has had enough of me and when it's time for her to have me, and make sure that she doesn't feel like second best.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And it's hard. That is not an easy task. It's hard to get that done and stay true to yourself and stay true to your family and stay true to your business. It is not an easy task.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I mean, you're running your own
Yeah.
firm and you're responsible for your clients. Like the work
Yeah.
never stops.
No, it
It
doesn't.
never does.
No.
Um, but somehow we have to, and I do feel like, and I think I see more of this on women is balancing the personal demands, whether
Hmm.
it's aging parents or parents that just need a little bit more support, whether they're ill
Yeah.
or just that stage of life, and then also raising the little ones and also having our career and being responsible to our businesses. It's hard. I don't have an answer, but having people in your life that get it or and are walking through that same hard place and can just see you walking through that and hold space for you and be there for you on the days when you need to
Yeah.
lose it for a minute.
Seriously. And for it to
Uh-huh.
be okay, for it to be
Yeah,
okay to lose it a little bit or to feel sorry for yourself or to realize that you weren't able to accomplish that particular goal, whether or not it's family, business, or personal.
or
And
self.
it's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah. And there's going to be
100%.
stages. There's going to be seasons, right? There might be a season where you're absolutely crushing it at work and maybe home is a little bit more chaotic or dinners and lunches are much more simple or you're ordering out more or whatnot. And then there's going to be the flip side and where you're just absolutely killing it as a mom or doing stuff that really lights up your soul and your own individual passion. So also having the grace to acknowledge that there's seasons all throughout life. And I don't think it's fair to
Amen to
expect.
that. No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right on target. Right on target.
Yeah.
I love your answer. And there is no right or wrong answer, but that was a beautiful answer. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So let's get in the time machine and we'll talk about your vision of retirement.
Ooh,
I know,
okay.
long way away.
Okay. So I am um right now in this stage of her life, my daughter wants to have a farm that will probably be some sort of animal rescue sanctuary. Um,
I
just,
love this.
I'm
This
not
is
going to digress.
awesome. No, it's
So,
great. I'm
but
sure that you already have stories about what's going on. I can't wait.
so my retirement, and I love gardening. I am in my gardening era. So my retirement is probably going to be whether she likes it or not, I'm gonna have a little section of her farm where I can live and putter about and help her take care of the animals and hopefully help her raise and hopefully be helping raise grandbabies. That's it.
Oh,
That's it.
yes. That's the best job in the whole world, apparently. I'm not there yet.
So I hear.
And I'm not
So
ready
I
to
hear.
be there in case my kids are listening. But
Yeah. But
I hear it's the best
she's
job in the
planning to
whole
have
world.
many, so we'll see.
Oh, good, good. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
Wow, such great info. Such great info. I love it. Well, this has been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Are we done already? Oh my gosh, that flew by. I hope this was
I
valuable
told
for
you.
folks.
Yeah, I told you. It's like
Yes.
literally we're having a girlfriend conversation. It's so
Yeah.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could dive into other things, but we do try to keep it like 20, 25 minutes. And I'm already like, oh, I wanted to go back and say about the what do you call it? The income, the passive income, which I'm
Yeah.
like, I love that for like to build that so that by the time you get to retirement,
Hmm.
um, you have that passive income to replace some of your active income.
Yep.
So we might just keep this part in the thing too, because it's great. It's a great avenue, diversification, whether or not it's your
Yeah.
particular type of investment or some other passive
Or something
income.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just the
absolutely.
idea of it. I have to, we have to educate that we're not recommending anything, that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
absolutely. And we do. We have folks that find us, call it in their 50s or so, and they come to us and they're like, okay, I've got, you know, call it 10 more years until retirement. This is the number that I know that I'm gonna need to live on. How do we back into that?
Mm-hmm.
And so we will, especially for those folks that are really keyed in on the numbers that they need, we will put in the time to kind of structure things individually, custom with them for them, um, so that they can reach their targets. I mean, that's the benefit. I think we're still, a small middle market firm, right? So our investors, they're not just a number, they are people. And as much as we possibly can, if we can custom create something that'll get them to their end investing goals, we do.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. And I
Yeah.
think our action item for everyone today is going to be to think about when you are 10 years away from retirement, to think about how are you replacing your paycheck? And we call it going from your paycheck to your playcheck. And that is not my term. It's
Mhm.
borrowed from another financial guru. But how do you replace that? And, having that, income source is going to be really important, whether or not they, do partially through something that you're doing, partially through their investment portfolio, partially through other things, or, bigger chunks of each of the above. But at least start having the conversation as our action item, start thinking about it and start realizing what kind of income you do need to replace when you retire. And that actually is really good because then it starts that wheel of motion into thinking, oh gosh, well, if Social Security is going to be, 20% of what I'm used to having, what am I going to do, for my other income needs? So it's a great question to have. So that's where we're going to leave everybody.
Sounds good.
All right. We want to thank everyone else for joining us as well. Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and LinkedIn, Regina McCann Hess. Go make it a great day. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Women in Wealth podcast. You can watch the founders video I created for you to learn more about me and how I can guide you towards your financial independence at www.forgewealth.com. The information in this podcast is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration the listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific, individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Forge Wealth Management are separate entities from the LPL Financial. Our show guests and their companies are not affiliated with nor endorsed by LPL Financial, Private Advisor Group, or Forge Wealth Management.